Sting recently announced that he's going to retire next year
Yeah.
on an AEW pay-per-view. And to me, Sting is my WCW guy. When I think of WCW, I think of Sting. I think of him in the NWO. But before that, you had Surfer Sting with Lex Luger and Ric Flair, Clash of Champions, all this good stuff. And
Yeah.
Sting coming into WWE was kind of like, he did some work, but not really. TNA, though, he had a great body of work. But AEW, same thing with Darby Allin. You brought up Sting for a second. No, I was actually Sting one time for Halloween. Don't tell my WWE fans that. But how do you feel about Sting retiring in his body of work that he's pulled off, even after people thought he should have hung up the boots?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I was one of those little stingers. Like 100%. I was a big Brian Bosworth fan to begin with. So Sting, Surfer Sting, was very Bosworth-ish. And I was a huge Sting fan, as I think a lot of people were. Around that time. I was probably one of the oldest Sting fans because I had put over Abe, like we established at the beginning of the show. Um, actually, the only thing, I'll be 115 years old at the end of the month.
Oh, girl, happy birthday. That's a
I,
lot of candles.
and I'm holding up. I'm holding up.
You
I
do. You
can
look great.
run, yeah. So anyway, Sting, just what an incredible career. I for him to still be doing some of the stuff that he's doing, um, and then to meet him, they you hear people say all the time, "Don't meet your heroes," and he, for one. When I was with AEW and I was fortunate enough to share a locker room with the man, and another surreal thing was, I got the bump for him, and what they did with him and Darby and what they have done, I think is one of the best things to come of that company. So far, I think it's every move's been really done well, and it's a credit to everybody there, and it's a credit to Steve himself, Sting. He I mean, he kind of transcends time in that way, and he was like the ultimate cool baby face at that time.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't be cooler than Sting at that time. Like he wasn't a Road Warriors ripoff, you know. Um, I think if you dig a little bit deeper into like the earlier days of his career, when him and Hellwig were like,
Yeah.
they might have been veering in that direction, but Sting, luckily for all of us fans, found his path. And yeah, I can't say enough positives about the man that I was able to converse with, personally a few times, and then professionally. I mean, it just lights out. Like, I'm not sure you can do any better.
No, you can't. Though it's funny is I wasn't Surfer Sting when I was a kid. I was Crow Sting, and
Uh,
so one year I was the Crow, and one year I was Sting, and so it's really the same outfit. But
right,
people will
right,
be like, "Oh, I really like your Sting outfit." Like, I'm the Crow. I'm the
right,
Crow. How dare you? How
right.
dare
Well,
you confuse
I
them?
appreciated it because it was, you recycled the costume one year
That's
from,
true. That's
yeah.
true. That is a good point. Yeah, I was Macho Man one year for Halloween as well. So,
Mm.
did you ever dress up as a wrestler for Halloween?
Not as a kid. I dressed up as a wrestler as an adult to go to it was after I had started wrestling. But it was just a costume that I could put together without spending much money. There was a Japanese fan years ago when I was working for Noah that came up and gave me a mask that he had made, and it was a fish mask. So it had like a marlin on the side, and I've never worn a hood in wrestling, but I had this thing forever, so I just paired it with some wrestling boots that I never wore, and a cape, and something else, and I just went as like a luchador. So that's the only time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all. I have an LA I have a well, Parker mask, and I wear it around my neighborhood during Halloween, and some kids are freaked out by it. So we'll have to see. I also have an Uncle Howdy mask now as well, so we'll have to see how that goes down. But
Okay. Well, you should probably run that past your wife. Make sure it's it's going to be okay.
she can. Anyways,